Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as VRs, but hey, it's something. First thing I'll say is, sorry for the missed episode last week. And the second thing I say is, if you hear noises in the background, it is because I had to record this episode on the 4th of July, and people are, let's just say, clearly not as paying attention to the situation of the world as I am. Because it's so funny that there is literally nothing to celebrate today. It's so funny. It's like, today was everybody, this before we get into the video, I just want to say, this is the thing that everybody's been saying. It's like, for the American bicentennial, everybody was talking about how it was like a great day of celebration. It was an amazing thing that happened. Even in the wake of like Watergate and stuff, everybody was basically united together to try and give some good vibes and whatever. And that just can't happen in this current era. That just can't happen for many reasons. And the biggest one, I actually posted like a comment on the website Our Campaigns, which you guys can't go on because it's been like DDoSed like 15 million times. But I just want to read what I wrote because it's just interesting to me to just kind of explain just the American like 250th anniversary. It's just so fucking funny. It's like, here's what I wrote. Isn't it funny how today is supposed to be a massive celebration, and yet it's become is a symbol of all the problems with America? The heat symbolizing the lack of action on climate change, the shitty World's Fair symbolizing the rampant corruption being done, fascist goons marching on Washington symbolizing the rise of reactionary politics, and to top it all off, literally having the most unpopular man to ever hold the office of president back in the White House, showing our inability to learn from our mistakes. It's poetic. It is. It literally is poetic. Literally, in every semblance of the word. It's like, everybody's complaining about, like, oh, it's so hot. It's like, even to the point where it was so, like, a lot of people were literally, like, not wanting to go to this World's Fair because it was so hot. And, climate change is fucked up the world so bad. It's just, like, I don't necessarily want to be doomer about it, but the fact that I saw, like, a tweet where people were, like, saying, like, if we don't do action about climate change now, it's over. It's like, buddy, have you been outside? I'm 99% sure it is over. Like, even in the last election, everybody was pointing out, I can think some people were saying, like, it's not necessarily that we can fix climate change per se, because we can't. We can't fix climate change. The point is, all we can do is make the situation not as bad. And unfortunately, we're not going to do that because the pedo-in-chief is whipped by the AI industry that is literally making the world 10 times worse. This is not the hottest summer in the history books. This is the last coldest summer in your life. That's truth. The shitty World's Fair, again, is also, like, just clear. Like, it's been run like shit. It is absolutely, like, this is America's 250th anniversary. This is supposed to be a big event that we're supposed to put a lot of money and effort into. And yet, literally, every single thing in the World's Fair is just absolute shit. And the reason is because Trump is just robbing the country. It's just abundantly clear. I literally made a story, remember, a little ago, where Trump was like doing this thing where it's like, he's giving the veterans like dividends of like $1,776. Like, ooh, yes, magic number. But it's like, then if you do research, and I probably will link it in the description because I still have the story saved, they're supposed to get larger stipends, and then those stipends, and like some of that money magically disappeared. We don't know where that money went. I know where it went. But John Trump's not going to tell you where it went. Like, there was supposed to be a nonpartisan people that were supposed to do an event for this, but then Donald Trump literally hijacked this entire thing to make it a super partisan thing. Because again, he just wants to be a fascist dictator so bad. But the problem is, he doesn't even have that. He can't even do that because he is so fucking incompetent. It's just pathetic. It's literally fucking pathetic. But anyways, let's just move on from that and let's get right into the news. First news story is, this is technically an older news story, but I guess this is really, I should talk about it because I'm sort of the savant on Mexican politics on LeftTube, allegedly. And it is the fact that there are now 2 new political parties that are going to be contesting in Mexico's next elections. These are the only 2 political parties that have been able to register because like Mexico allows parties to register in between elections. That's just kind of like, like a normal fucking political organizations and stuff would. And I know that there have been a lot of groups and people who have been desperately trying to register in these upcoming elections. I remember like older while ago where like there was like the attempt of Mexico Libre, the party of Felipe Calderon, who tried to register but he wasn't able to register. But yeah. there have been only 2 new political parties that have been able to register in the upcoming elections. Building Societies for Peace and We Are Mexico, or Somos Mexico. Well, Building Societies for Peace, its official Mexican name is, sorry for the butchering, but this is important to explain, Construyendo Sociedades de Paz, Building Societies for Peace again. And this is the important thing about both of these 2 parties. Okay, so both of these 2 parties are actually current vehicles for 2 groups in Mexican politics that have kind of become somewhat prominent, I guess. So basically, we'll start off with Building Societies for Peace because it's kind of the easiest one to explain. Building Societies for Peace is a restructured social encounter party. If you don't remember, in Mexican politics, there was a group called the Social Encounter Party, which is a right-wing evangelical party. And they were, they came and they won a couple of seats, allied with Morena in their 2018 election, and then they lost enough membership. They didn't get enough votes, so they had to deregister. And then they tried to come back under the Solidarity Encounter Party, and then they had to deregister again because they didn't have the ability to, actually get even enough votes. And this is their latest attempt to try and do it again. And this is important because even though this party is right-wing, they are choosing to they have made it basically explicitly clear they want to align with Morena again. And their acronym is very important. You see, remember, their Spanish name is, Construyendo Sociedades de Paz. And their original acronym that they wanted to adopt in their, on their official party acronyms, because, parties have official acronyms. The Movimiento Ciudadano has MC, the National Action Partido Acción Nacional has PAN, Partido Revolucionario Nacional, PRI, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, PT, Partido de Trabajo is PT, Movimiento Regeneración Nacional is Morena, you know that. But they wanted to have their acronym be CSP, which is supposed to be a way, like CSP is an acronym for a certain political figure in Mexico right now, Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo, who outright rejected them using this acronym. But, so they had to change their acronym to just be Paz, and okay, fine. But here's another thing. Even though they explicitly say they want to ally with Morena, in fact, their leader, who is the leader of the previous Social Encounter and Solidarity Encounter parties, Hugo Enrique Flores, is technically already a member of Morena. It's very clear they want to be an ally with Morena just because they want to siphon off that. They want to be able to, hitch their wagon to that to spread their ideology. But the thing is, they can't do it in this immediate election. For the first election that they run, they have to run solo, which means that they're probably not going to last. And Somos Mexico is a somewhat similar situation, kind of. But the political party, the political movement that they are choosing to hype off of is Xochitl Galvez. This is basically the vehicle. I don't know if she's explicitly aligned with this party, but this party is essentially meant to be the vehicle. Because I think I mentioned it at one point, where Xochitl Galvez said that she basically wanted to start a brand new political party from scratch because she knew that the Pre-Ann was basically dead in the water. And sure enough, this is the party that is kind of being on this effort. If you notice their party logo and icon is pink, which is the same color of the Xochitl Galvez campaign. In fact, they've literally stated multiple times that this party is meant to be a vehicle for Marea Rosa, not the pink tide of broader Latin America, but that's specifically the subsection name of Xochitl Galvez's campaign. That's basically that. But basically, this party is similar. It's a center to center left party, which is meant to be that vehicle. And on the bat, again, center left, this is not the first time that a pink center left party has come to try and be this movement. And here's another thing about it. There are actually some recognizable names in this party's movement. There's Guadalupe Acosta Naranjo, who was the former president of the PRD, who is the leader. The secretary general of the party is Cecilia Soto Gonzalez, who was the only presidential candidate of PT, who was basically meant to be a vehicle for, their movement. She went and joined with the PRD at one point. And there are other people who are affiliated with other political parties in Mexican history that are in this party now, including but not limited to Gustavo Madero of the PAN, and most interestingly in my eyes, which kind of immediately showed this party's an op, was Enrique de la Madrid of the PRI. And it's oops. Yep, this party's an op. This party is basically a left-wing op. It's basically meant to be Similar to the previous party that did this, I forgot its name at the moment. Fuerza Mexico, that's what it was called. It's a party that was basically meant to siphon off support away from Morena to join up with the political establishment of Mexico. My guess is that they would join in an alliance with the... my guess is that basically this party is trying to build itself as the new opposition party. Because here's the fact of the matter. We don't know much about the Mexican... I don't know... there are some... I can't really say that I know for a full extent of what the Mexican political scene will be in the next couple of years. I saw a Mexican presidential poll which had the Morena candidate be someone that I just did not recognize. I kind of knew of him. I think I recognized him because he ran for like a mayor of Mexico City at one point, and but then it was basically that was a long story. But basically, the thing was, it was a guy that I barely knew. But the thing is, I don't necessarily know the full extent of that. But my guess is that in the next Mexican presidential election, effectively, the pre and the pan will be wiped out. They made it abundantly clear that their party is the party of the U.S. They made it basically clear they're the party of the political establishment. They're the party that is just gone, which is why these people now have to form a new party, Somos Mexico, because that's the only way these guys electorally can survive. Because if they're not able to do that, those parties are dead. And the new opposition party in Mexico will be the MC. And that is what is important, because the MC is a more spirited opposition. I guarantee that they're not fully no, people aren't going to necessarily be we like the MC, but necessarily, but I'm trying to think it's similar to the place I could think of that is the most similar politically wise in this sense would be Venezuela in the pre-Chavez, early Maduro years, because most of the opposition, the era at the time period was, American-backed shills. That was basically the thing. They were the only opposition. And it only took a guy who wasn't fully an American op that was allowed to basically make the opposition actually viable in Venezuela with Henrique Caripeles, who basically ran as a center-left guy. And even as Morena basically steamrolls the polls in the upcoming election, which isn't happening yet, it's pretty clear that if Morena is not... my opinion is this. Morena is not basically guaranteed to continue being Mexico's mainstream political party forever. They're not guaranteed that. The PRI used to be guaranteed that, and that didn't work out. And the PAN, even though they stepped in and tried to become Mexico's new political party, that didn't pan out. The point is, they're not guaranteed that position. If it's the PRI and the PAN that are the ones who are the main opposition, then they might be guaranteed that position. But in the next election, I even said it in the 2024 presidential election. I didn't believe that Xochitl Galvez had a chance to become president. It was Claudia, in my opinion, it was Claudia Sheinbaum or Jorge Mañez that were the most likely to be presidents. Actually, in my opinion, I did a thing. There was a picture. I might put it in the podcast. I probably won't, but I might put it somewhere. I might find it and make it a community post of or whatever. But it was a tier list of all the candidates that were at the position at the time period. And the one that I felt that was the most viable of the opposition candidates was Luis Donaldo Colosio Riojas. And he still probably is. I would hedge my bets and say that if they united with him, then the opposition would actually have a chance. Otherwise, I don't think the opposition has a chance in Mexico at the time period. Anyways, speaking of Mexico, let's move on to the next news story, which is an American news story, but it has relations to do with Mexico because of this weird development that the American right wing has shown. It's just, again, shown how the American right wing has rotted so much that is just unequivocally just absolutely mad. And it is the fact that the Supreme Court held a couple of decisions as of late, and this was the only one that had a good showing. And it was the fact that the Supreme Court upheld birthright citizenship because Donald Trump wanted to impose restrictions on birthright citizenship. If you guys don't know how birthright citizenship works in the United States, it's simple. If you are born in the United States, you are an American citizen. End of discussion. That's the rules of America. If you are born in America, you are an American citizen. End of discussion. Literally, that is the rules. That has been upheld multiple times ever since the drafting of the 14th Amendment. And Donald Trump wanted to implement restrictions on people whose parents were not citizens of the United States at the time of their birth. They would not qualify under American citizenship, which is wrong and bullshit. And in a vote of 6-3, the court said, no, you're stupid. You're fucking stupid if you even think that is a thing. And yeah, that's a big problem. The fact that it was a 6-3 majority Now, according to this article from AP, it explains that there was a reason why it says 6-3, even though the official ruling is technically 5-4 to an extent. And basically, here's how it is. So, the liberal justices, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson, they universally said yes, 100%. This is how the law is, along with John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett. And Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch universally said, like, no, this is wrong. But Brett Kavanaugh basically made a little bit of he made a statement that was technically a dissent, but also technically not a dissent. Basically, the official dissent was Thomas, Alito, and Gorsuch. But Kavanaugh wrote a separate opinion where he said, he made a disagree with, certain constitutionality about it, but he basically explained, the law is the law. Whether you disagree with the constitutionality of it is the different, but the law is the law. That's basically what he said. And I read a little bit of Clarence Thomas's, because the immediate response to me was to look at Clarence Thomas's, response, because Clarence Thomas is, literally the one fucking member of the Supreme Court. I originally thought that he was, the one person on the Supreme Court who absolutely should never even remotely consider opposing this kind of stuff, because this amendment literally made him a citizen. If this amendment did not pass, he would be considered property. That is a fact. That is a fact. That is a fact. Clarence Thomas wants to be property. That's what he wants to be. Because this is the fact. That's just the truth. And then I read his statement, and his statement was literally just his statement was literally him going well, it's okay when it helped me, but when it helps other people, that was basically his statement. And it turns out it's even weirder because it turns out Samuel Alito is an anchor baby. Apparently, Samuel Alito is also an anchor baby. So he also has no reason to vote against this. But since these two people are clearly bought and paid for by whatever, white supremacist fucking people are in charge of the world at the moment, they literally will just do whatever they do, beck and call. Ring, 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 hello, and then the slaves come over. That's how it works. That's how it fucking works, apparently. And literally every single, conservatives, or, well, I'm, again, not even conservatives, they're reactionaries. And this court case very exemplifies that they're not conservatives, they're reactionaries. They literally, all of them were, very confused that Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts, expressed support for birthright citizenship. And they're we need to find out why these guys voted on this thing. And it's they wrote the opinions. They wrote an opinion. You could read their opinions on this matter. And also, again, this is the thing I just don't understand. It's this is clear cut. Thomas's thing especially was this amendment was literally made to prevent was only made to guarantee that slaves were considered humans. That was the only thing. They were guaranteed citizenship, but no one else. No, you're wrong. You're fucking stupid. Clarence Thomas, you're wrong. And your parents would absolutely be ashamed of who you are and would absolutely hate you. That's a fact. Because I know this. I made a video where the guy who wrote the 14th Amendment very much explicitly stated children of illegal immigrants are counted as citizens. That's the thing that made America America. That is the thing that separates us from the savage Europeans. We consider anybody who is born here. Hell, for a long period of time, Americans literally considered anybody who lived here, just lived here only, American citizens. All those other wacky countries in Europe, they have this thing where it's oh, you have to fill out these stupid things, blah, blah, blah. No. You are born here. You are an American citizen by birth and nothing more. Beautiful. That's what makes our country beautiful. Remember, the Statue of Liberty. Give us your begotten. Give us your helpless. Give us your sick. That was literally the foundation of America for a long period of time. And when people like you in that time period tried to stipulate rules to try and prevent certain people, we said, fuck you. And it's beautiful. And I love that aspect of America. It's beautiful. And that's just the problem that and again, it's why these guys are not conservatives. They're not conservatives. They're reactionaries. Because a conservative would uphold this position. I know this because there are literally conservatives who are upholding this fucking position. Literally, fucking John Roberts, appointed by George W. Bush, literally did that. It's the weird thing. It's because you'll find it'll be Ronald Reagan literally is speaking positively about Juneteenth or whatever. George W. Bush literally had a trans friend, and there's literally a post by the Republican Party of fucking like in 2016, the Florida Republican Party literally tweeted out like a thing where it's like, where they were literally saying, we were talking about how based and red-pilled Harriet Tubman was because she was a gun-toting Republican, and it's just like, that just doesn't exist. These guys are not conservatives. They're reactionaries. They don't even like America. They want, like, it's the problem. It's the thing with fascism. They claim they want a past that doesn't exist. They claim to be fighting for a past that literally does not exist. Remember, fascists went in Madison Square Garden and literally called George Washington the first fascist. They don't understand history. They don't understand anything. I remember I saw a tweet not long ago where it's like a massive Republican account literally tweeted out they tweeted a fake quote from John Adams, where John Adams was expressing support for Jesus Christ as king, when John Adams was a Unitarian, meaning he explicitly rejected Jesus Christ's divinity. These people believe in nothing, and they just absolutely, just unequivocally are fucking stupid. Anyway, speaking of bad news, let's move on to the next news story. The Kids Act passed, despite the fact that basically every single, organization that was, the Kids Online Safety Act, it was the Kids Act that passed 267 to 117. Honestly, it was kind of expected, but, I mean, I was kind of hoping that it wasn't going to happen, but in retrospect, yeah, it was kind of inevitable that it was going to pass, and I don't want to sound doomer about it, but I mean, again, you should, if you can, call your members of House, members of Senate or whatever, to, get, them to possibly reconsider this bill and whatever. But I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna look at the fucking, vote totals for this, for the House Act, so we can understand things. I'm not gonna read all the names that voted nay, but there are some, interesting, some names that are kind of expected, basically all the progressives voted nay on this bill. Thomas Massey voted nay. Let me see. I'm just trying to see. Just some a couple names are just randomly thrown in there, like Dave Min, Sarah Jacobs, Juan Vargas, Jason Crow, D.J. Golden voted against it. Yeah, he voted against it. Sam McBride, Jimmy Patronis, but yeah, it's pretty. This bill pretty much overwhelmingly passed in the House. Obviously, we all know that. But the problem is, look at the names again. Mostly the progressives and not really any for the Democratic side, mostly progressives with occasional not progressive names. But then you also get random other names that are just why'd you also vote against it? Okay, well, I guess I understand why certain names voted against, because I'm looking at Shri Thanadar and Haley Stevens right now. I wonder why they voted against it. Wesley Bell also voted against it. And then we also have randomly a guy called Eric Burleson. I don't know if he's a particularly I mean, you guys could probably know better than me. He's Andrew Espiliot. I guess he got a change of heart after he realized he was not going to win. Unfortunately, all the North Carolina delegation, with the exception of Mark Harris, Pat Harrigan, and Valerie Foushee. I honestly thought it was just Foushee. Lauren Boebert, Eli Craig. The names are pretty much obvious. Again, it's mostly the people who are sort of the ideologues in the House who voted against it. But unfortunately, we don't got that many ideologues in the Senate. That's a very unfortunate fact. And another unfortunate fact is that if you remember COSA, because COSA is part of the bill that was, because this is the problem. COSA was the bill that was the original bill. The bill that was the original intended bill. But that bill was just, that bill was, I guess, seen as too egregious. And then now this one offers a more safe position. But here's the problem. This is allegedly the safer bill. Remember, COSA was seen as the worst bill. That's apparently the thing. That bill was seen as the worst bill, and this bill was bad because it didn't address enough of the concerns that a lot of people had. And remember, I need to keep reminding you, COSA was the worst bill, apparently. Now keep that in mind. What was the COSA vote? 91-3. Mike Lee, Rand Paul, and Ron Wyden were the only people who voted against it. And remember, this was the worst bill. This new bill is the negotiated bill, the safer bill. I'm not saying don't call your senators, but I'm just saying it's a very uphill battle, apparently. Speaking of uphill battle, there's actually some good news in regards to an uphill battle that we're seeing, and let's just get into it. It's the fact that DSA is winning/won. And I say winning/won because of a couple of things. I mean, if you remember, DSA's been having some wins. We missed a couple of episodes in the past. So, Daria Liza Avila Chevalier and Claire Valdez won their wins in New York. Brad Lander won his seat in New York as well, but he's technically not a DSAer because he was an October 7th leaver. And Melat Kiros, she won in Colorado. There was another person who was running in Colorado named Julie Gonzalez, and she was running for senator against John Hickenlooper, and she did pretty well, but people are like, she didn't win, obviously, but she did well enough that people are like, maybe if she was still in DSA, she probably would have won. And people are very happy, and, obviously, like, taking W's and, going around. Even to the point where they're pointing out the fact that there's actually like a couple elections going on, like coming up next that should and could be pretty victorious if we play our cards right. The next elections that are coming up are in Arizona. There's a pretty good member of running for the U.S. House in Arizona District 2, but I don't think there's any other main big electoral wins possibly going on in Arizona. But of course, the bigger names, the bigger elections that people are pointing out, like especially for DSA, are the upcoming races in Michigan and Missouri. And even not necessarily just DSA, Michigan also has Abdullah Saeed, who is pretty much poised to win in his Senate race. And honestly, if he won, he's honestly, like, ever since he first announced, I was basically like, he's the guy. I mean, if we win any seat, it's gotta be Abdul. I mean, I'll even go so far as to say, I would take Graham Plattner losing if it meant Abdullah Saeed wins. Like, I mean, just flat out, objectively. Abdullah Saeed, best Senate nominee that we could possibly have in this cycle. But putting that aside, we also have, again, I mentioned before, Missouri's coming up with Cory Bush, and there's also, in Michigan, we have Donovan McKinney, who's running with, I think he's DSA endorsed, I don't remember, but he's actually also running against a fucking Shuri Tanadar, who at one point tried to be DSA endorsed, but oopsie doodle. And, again, DSA is winning/won. And the reason why I say winning/won is because, of course, we're seeing them with their electoral wins, but also they have won in the sense that in an American political context, DSA has officially become the largest socialist organization in American history. Their current membership numbers are, according to Wikipedia and according to like a Google Doc, a Google spreadsheet that has been spread around, is their membership right now is 116,836 people in DSA, which is larger than the Socialist Party of America's largest vote total in their history, which is, I think, literally 11,000 even, or at least roughly 11,000. Not 11,000. You know what I mean? Like 111. Like you know the number I'm talking about. And to me, it's just honestly, this is the problem that I have with a lot of people in this sort of like sphere. If you just are objectively clear, DSA is the winning strategy. Like that's just the fact. DSA, like, I mean, this is the problem that I have with all these people. Like, in the American political context, certain ideological framework of socialism, I guess we would call it the Debsian tradition to an extent, that is the winning socialist strategy in America. Like, people keep complaining that, entryism doesn't work. It's like, it is. I have no clue what you're talking about. This is the problem. I don't understand this whole perspective, like this sort of quote unquote entryism doesn't work. It's like, it is work. I don't understand what you're talking about. It is working. I literally do not understand what you're talking about. Like, in American history, it's just almost seen as like abundantly true to an extent. Like, this is the problem. It's like, and this is the weird thing. It's like, they perceive this as like an L. Like, because this is I hate to use the ContraPoints meme, but it's like, they don't want power. They want to endlessly contradict power or whatever. But the thing is, that just really seems like what it is. Because, like, I mean, apparently I'm learning that in communist circles, Earl Browder is considered, like, basically a slur against communists. And I'm just sitting there just like, why? Under Earl Browder's leadership, the Communist Party was absolutely, like, totally viable. I don't understand why you would even remotely consider that a bad thing. But I guess people just don't like winning? Like, I mean, using sewer socialists as a slur, even though I think the sewer socialists were broadly vindicated to an extent, I kind of get what you're saying. Sewer socialists do have a lot more criticisms. I'm not even necessarily don't criticize his sphere. I can criticize Earl Browder all the time I want. But the thing is, in an actual sphere, in an actual sense, they are clearly the more viable structure in America. Meanwhile, all your organizations can't even get off the ground and do anything. Like, even if, like, I mean, if you want to be better than us, be better. Just be actually better. Like, I mean, literally, I'm sorry, guys. I saw the DSA strategy. I literally sat there and waited for all of the strategies to go. Build up a currently existing third party, create an entirely new third party, and work within the Democratic Party. I saw all three of those strategies play out before my very eyes. And one worked, the others did not work. Anyways, now let's move on to the last news story, which is related to the episode that I literally just released. And it also revolves things that a lot of you are probably going to start getting freaked out when I say these words. Tung Sahur is one of the newfangled Gen Alpha or even Gen Beta brain rot characters. If you need to know who he is specifically, he is a slit drum, also known as a Kentongan, who carries a wooden bat that is visually generated by AI. And apparently he is a reference to Ramadan because an Indonesian content creator Noxa was inspired by being waken up for the pre-fast meal of Ramadan Sahur. So the character is basically meant to just be like that. And apparently he was featured in a Roblox game entitled, Catch the Brain Rot. And basically here's what happened. Steal a brain rot. My bad. That was the important words to not get wrong in this news story. And it was the fact that, Tung Sahur, he was, basically here's what happened. So a company claimed, removed Tung Sahur from the game, and then basically, they and then the people who made Tung Sahur filed a lawsuit saying, hey, you can't do that. You can't do that. So basically, here's how it works. So apparently, I gotta get this, clearly straight. So a company called Memementum, who apparently made this game, they took him out, because of another company called Spider and Speedy. I think it's a company, or are they people, who claim that they own the rights to the character Tung Sahur. Except there's a big problem. Apparently, the person who made Tung Sahur, they own, they said they're fine with Tung Sahur being in the game. But now here's the problem. But they're no, we own the rights. And basically, this whole argument is basically null and void because Tung Sahur was generated by artificial intelligence. Ergo, he's not able to be copyrighted. Ergo, there's nothing they can do. That's just the truth. Tung Sahur was made by artificial intelligence. And the fight is also because, they're claiming, oh, well, in actuality, the person who made this person is, they were actively involved in the creation of the character. They just use generative. No. You use generative AI, you don't own the copyright. The end. The character was completely generated by artificial intelligence. The end. You do not own the copyrights to Tung Sahur. The idea that you would even want to fight for the copyright of Tung Sahur is fucking stupid, but hey, that's just how stupid our copyright system is. And I found out, that recent video that I made about, AI sucking and mostly revolving on the copyright system of AI. That was with one guy who tried to, who claimed that they wanted to do the whole, they wanted to do the stupid, fair use argument where it's oh, we're fighting for fair use. No, you're not fighting for fair use, you're fighting for legalization of piracy. And it's if you just want to do that, do that. Just generally be upfront. This is my problem. It's everybody claims they want to fight for fair use. No, you don't. Most of the things that you're fighting for in regards to fair use are not fair use. That's just a fact. And I want to make if I do my problem with the video, I want to do one about progressive victory, because they also did that stupid bullshit as well, because they did that thing where it's like they were claiming, they're like, we need to fight for fair use, and then their fair use argument that they want to fight for is reaction videos. Like, no, reaction videos are not fair use. Sorry, not sorry, they're not. I mean, I guess technically, I mean, like, the Denham's lawsuit did just happen, so I guess technically they are, but you get my point. Like, I mean, my point is, I just don't believe that, like, this is the right way to go about it. And the thing is, like, he wanted to, like, do the thing where it's like, he was trying to claim, like, oh, like, he was trying to, like, because he clearly did not watch my full video and didn't even understand, like, my full, like, my opinions on the issue, because he literally, like, cited my fucking, like, camera argument that I made in the video, where it's like, cameras, like, you put in more work for cameras than AI prompts, and then he's like, actually, AI prompts are hard. It's like, no, they're not. But then he was trying to make that claim, but it's also like, the reason why I brought up that claim was not even just because of that. My point of that claim was that a lot of people, like, use that as a crux to be like, AI, I mean, that camera photo should be copyrightable and the AI should not be. And it's like, I don't even believe that. I brought that argument up specifically because I don't believe that. But yeah, shock of all shocks, I do not believe Sahur should be copyrightable. That's just a fact. It's generated by AI. It should not be copyrightable. End of discussion. But anyways, with all that out of the way, let's move on to the main topic of this video. I just wanted an excuse to make this topic for this video, because why not? So let's just start off with this. Anti-Zionism is based, but sometimes anti-Zionists are cringe. You can be anti-Zionist and/or broadly pro-Palestine for a variety of reasons, and the fact of the matter is, not all of them are good. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, anti-Zionism is, again, a broadly based position, but again, you can reach that conclusion for reasons that are not so based. Now, for the most part, we could all broadly put aside our differences and work together for the common goal of peace in the region and stopping Israel's genocide. But there is a difference in that and making broad coalitions with people that make the cause actively worse. And that's kind of what this video is kind of going to at least try to do in, at least the best of my ability. Just to, like, lay it out there. Like, I mean, this is going to be, like, specific people necessarily. This is going to be more broadly focused on groups of people, or at least, like, types of people that I've seen. But the fact of the matter is, there are some people within the Anti-Zionist movement I think broadly should not be looked upon fondly within the Anti-Zionist movement, because they're actively hurting the cause. And let's just get this part of the way. Like, let's just get the most obvious answer of the biggest one out of the way. Nazis. Like, I mean, yeah, obviously, fuck Nazis. Nazis are definitely the ones that are the most obvious people that would probably be put in a category in a group like this. In fact, they're so obvious that beyond this point, I'm going to try to avoid specifically talking about Nazis in particular, because, again, super obvious. And I don't even necessarily think that there are many people who are actively in favor of Nazis. There are some, but we'll get to that in a little bit later. Another thing that I'll say right here from the beginning is just this. This is all the opinion of one guy out of many, and there are many others that would probably be able to make lists like this that could even go so far as to include people like me on there. It's like, oh, we can't trust this anti-Zionist because of this. And I'm not necessarily immune to criticism, obviously. I mean, again, if I'm going to be able to put all these other groups of people into criticism, I would say that I would still be at least be able to be criticized to an extent. But this is the thing, again, this isn't necessarily me going to go like, oh, this person has an alternative opinion to me or whatever, and they're bad. Not necessarily. Like, I mean, there are people who can have different opinions and other, like, perspectives on this issue that I don't necessarily even think that you should avoid or whatever. And in fact, I would even sometimes encourage you to hear their perspectives. Like, just because you didn't vote for Kamala Harris in 2024 does not automatically immediately disqualify you from the broad topic of anti-Zionist activism or discussion about that. Obviously, there are very legitimate, valid reasons to not vote for Kamala Harris, specifically due to the issue of anti-Zionism or that kind of stuff. And I wouldn't even necessarily say that people who are, like, overtly critical of DSA or DSA electeds or whatever, I wouldn't necessarily discount them either. I mean, there are legitimate criticisms and stuff that you can do and say. I mean, I actively engage with some people who have alternative opinions about me on this issue. We all agree that, Zionism is bad and that kind of stuff. Like, we all agree on the broad strokes. Zionism is bad. Free Palestine. Basic stuff that we all agree on. And of course, there's like some slightly different perspectives that we can have with certain nitty-gritty issues. But, again, we can all openly, validly have discussions on these issues. Well, I suppose some of you guys can have open discussions on these issues because some of your guys' positions would probably get you in trouble with your specific governments. And I fully acknowledge that in the Anti-Zionist movement, I'm probably the guy with the safest, most state-sanctioned opinions that are not full-on Zionist. But yeah, again, these are some people that I personally believe that in the Anti-Zionist movement, we should probably avoid, kind of. Maybe not necessarily completely avoid, but at least hopefully get them to a better position. Because, socialist anti-Zionism is obviously the best position to have. So, yeah, even liberal anti-Zionism is technically not the best position, but, it's slightly better than certain other forms of anti-Zionism to an extent. But again, there's full ins and outs. We'll have to get into, specific movements and groups and whatever. Okay, so the first, this is actually a subcategory within it, within this broader topic, and these are groups of people that I don't necessarily think are immediately cancelable, but I would definitely look at you with a side eye. And the first category is, I'll say this, people who are overly dismissive of anti-Semitism. And I put this category here, I know this one might be a little bit strange, but this is the thing. I put this category here because this one especially is a very, very, very thin line. This one has a very thin line that is very much okay, hold on. Are you teetering on it? What are you doing? And basically, it's on one end, there's people who are overly dismissive of anti-Semitism because of things criticizing how folks like the Anti-Defamation League and Zionists broadly quickly use the term anti-Semitism as a shield and hype up any and all pro-Palestine activity as anti-Semitism. That's a main thing of attack. People are oh, you say anti-Semitism is on the rise, and then they cite the ADL's numbers, and the ADL's numbers are a person says pro-Palestine once, and then that is considered an unforgivable sin that is basically put on the same level as a guy who burns down a synagogue. And I don't even necessarily people. There's also another group where it's people who don't necessarily care about being labeled anti-Semitism, being labeled anti-Semites, because it's it's the thing where I think I've said this to an extent before, but it's when you give us a position where our positions are let Palestinian children be bombed to death or be labeled a naughty word, what do you think the options are? What do you think people are going to choose? But again, there's a thin line, and unfortunately, if you just step a little over that line, you start saying and doing things that are a bit, clearly not even this isn't even just you're not even doing anti-Zionism, literally. You're just doing anti-Semitism. That's just what you're doing. And I've encountered this multiple times where a person will just defend a loud and proud, just overtly anti-Semite because they've just done no homework. It's a thing. I remember at one point where I talked about the new Black Panther Party, and then the guy was saying oh, you're just doing the thing where it's you're saying that black people are anti-Semitic. It's no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that because the guy who runs this party said that Hitler was justified in doing the Holocaust. That's what happened. The guy who leads this party said that Hitler was justified doing the Holocaust. So that's what you're doing. This isn't anti-Zionism. You're just doing anti-Semitism. A baby leftist tryhard that is relentlessly attempting to copy me has basically chosen to make their current favorite politician be a Holocaust-denying pro-Hitler politician named Cynthia McKinney, who is also he himself is also a collaborative partner with a Holocaust denier who is currently trying to rehabilitate the image of American Nazi Party founder George Lincoln Rockwell. Again, I find that guy's trajectory so fucking funny. It's I specifically said that people like those two were the reason why I did not take the Green Party seriously, and then he immediately jumps to join those people, and it's huh? So all my times where I shat on you for thinking that the Green Party was a viable political party was completely right because you literally jumped on the people who literally ruined the fucking party. And the bro can't even deny that this is a thing. Because it's the thing, I've seen this multiple times where they'll say they're pro Cynthia McKinney or whatever, and they like Cynthia McKinney, and then they follow her on Twitter or like all these other social media accounts, and it's like she just unabashedly posts like anti-Semitism on her platforms every day. Every day she posts a new conspiracy theory about Jewish people, not Zionists, Jewish people, not Israel, Jewish people. She explicitly name drops Jews specifically. And then when I bring this up to them, they'll act like this is like this new information that they like just figured out. Like, bro, literally like this guy right here, like literally like fucking like he retweeted her, and I checked Susan McKinney, and her latest post was an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, and it's just like he can't pretend that this isn't a thing she does when this is a thing she does all the time. It's not my fault that he chose to do this. That's his own fucking fault. But anyways, we're getting sidetracked. Let's move on to the next group of people. And I called them the people who recently switched sides. You know, generally, the longer a person has been anti-Israel, the better. Like, just generally, like, if a person's been anti-Israel since, like, 20, like let's say a person's, like, 57 or, like, whatever, and they were, like, politically active since, like, 2000, and they've been anti-Israel since 2000, you know, generally, that's a pretty good record. Like, I mean, take me. I mean, I guess technically you can't take me to an extent. I've been at least pro-Palestine since 2019. That's a pretty distant record. Like, I mean, I have a YouTube career spanning, like, since 2018, so technically that's a pretty decent record. But I guess I technically have not used the label anti-Zionist since until at least October 7th, I think, or like around October 7th. Like basically that's also like the second era. It's like a person, like, I mean, you could generally be accepted as changing your mind around like 2023, maybe early 2024. Like, you know, like basically in the wake of, you know, the recent onslaught against, you know, basically the recent onslaught against Palestine. That's sort of an acceptable like radicalization moment. I made this like statement, like I think literally in the aftermath of October 7th, where it's like this moment especially has really like fully shown everything. Like everybody's true colors get revealed in this moment. If you proselytize about being pro-Palestine, but now all of a sudden you're making reservations, it shows that you weren't really pro-Palestine. If you were pro-Palestine and you like basically like start going into like anti-Semitic canards, then it's showing your true colors on why you were anti-Israel or whatever. And again, it also showed like people who were like at least positively pro-Israel to an extent, like at least like people who were like quote unquote pro-peace but then leaned slightly towards Israel. In the aftermath, it showed their true colors where they're like, we can't stand with Israel no more. And that's the thing. It's like, if you were at a position, if like, and that's mostly like, especially for people who were like not in the like content creation sphere. But if after October 7th, you were a big pro, like, I mean, if like, let's say from October 7th, 2023 to like January 1st of 2026, you were pro-Israel, and then magically all of a sudden, now you have a change of heart, I don't trust you. That's just a big thing. Like, I mean, especially if you were a content creator or a political figure, it's possible that you did have a genuine change of heart. That is true. I can't necessarily negate that fact. There's a chance that maybe at one point you did actually have a genuine change of heart. But the thing is, there were like a million fucking like images, videos, and photos of dead children. If those things didn't change your mind in those intervening times, why did you suddenly change your mind now? Could it have anything to do with the fact that now anti-Israel sentiment is objectively more popular than pro-Israel sentiment? So now literally the only way you can become popular online is to be pro-Palestine? I'll give an example from the electoral sphere. Michael Blake. Michael Blake was a massive Zionist literally up to his congressional bid. That's the fact. He was a Zionist up to his congressional bid. In the New York City mayoral race, he was a Zionist when he ran against Zafran Mamdani. Then after that race, now all of a sudden his first ad when it came to the fucking like his like congressional bid, all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm magically anti-Zionist. Like, bro, you were literally at AIPAC meetings. You can't pretend that you're now all of a sudden this massive anti-Zionist. And again, he could have possibly had a real, genuine change of heart. But I can't trust him. Like, Daria Liza was literally at a rally on October 8th of 2023 advocating for peace in Palestine, for Israel to not do anything rash and evil. That shows we can trust her. Like, it's the weird thing that Zionists were trying to do with, like, Daria Liza, where they're like, Daria Liza, it's like, she was at a rally on October 8th. It's like, what? That's basically the equivalent of saying on September 12th of 2001, you were against the war in Afghanistan. It's like, that's a good thing. That is an objectively correct position. I don't understand what the fucking, like, criticism is. Like, unless the criticism is something that she said at that rally, which they haven't cited anything specifically bad, the bad thing they cited was that she went to the rally and she expressed support for Palestine. The objectively correct position. It's the same thing that happened with, like, Ethan Klein and Hassam, where it's like, Ethan Klein said, what should have Israel, what was Israel supposed to do after October 7th? It's like, that's, like, not the thing that they're doing now, which is a massive genocide of innocent people. Like, that's the thing they should not have been doing. Like, that's the issue, that they're doing the bad thing. Like, the good thing would have been to not do anything bad and evil and rash. This isn't necessarily just vote well for people who are, like, running for office. You know, podcasters and other influencers count. Like, I mean, if they were an influencer that was openly pro-Zionist after October 7th, but then magically had a change of heart, you know, again, after the polls shifted, you know, that doesn't count. Like, no, I don't trust you. Like, literally, especially influencers. Like, people who made money from being pro-Israel after October 7th, but now the algorithm has shifted, all of a sudden have a conscience. Like, all of a sudden they, like, magically want a conscience. Like Candace Owens. Candace Owens, I guess, granted, hers is that she's anti-Semitic, and I guess Tucker Carlson's is too, but, like, I guess I gotta name drop him, Charlie Kirk. Allegedly, Charlie Kirk was having a change of heart of Israel in the immediate precursor to him dying. And that's sort of like, you know, the hyperbolic myth that people say with regards to him, which we'll get into that in a second. But that's the alleged encounter for them. That's like, he magically is like becoming pro, like he's magically saying that Israel's doing a bad thing. Again, after the sentiment had already shifted drastically. He was pro-Israel up to the point where it became unpopular. And his is also kind of related to another later segment that we'll touch on in a bit as well. But Charlie Kirk would also have not been trustworthy even if he was anti-Israel from day one. I guess, yeah, probably not. But we'll get to that in a second. Next one is one that is kind of also related, but not necessarily. And it's a category that I dub the white male anti-Zionists. Now, some people who are watching this video might be like, wait, but I'm a white male anti-Zionist. Oh no! But remember, we're in the category that says that I'm not immediately canceling you. This is the not immediate cancelable category, but a side-eye category. And I am, to an extent, almost on an FD signifier level of putting white leftists in general in timeout. Not exactly on the same level of him, or even necessarily on the same reasons per se. But I definitely would recommend you watch his video about, like, you know, like his video is called "Why I Left the White Left." But I mean, I think you'd probably find that video a little interesting. But I mean, white men on the left have a little bit of a tendency to get a little weird. It's because, you know, their elements of left-wing attitudes can not necessarily come from the best roots. Particularly, like, they mostly come from they stem from an era of, like, contrarianism and personal grievances. But that can be manifested into something good. I'm not necessarily going to, like, I mean, white male anti-Zionists and white male leftists in general, you know, they can be good. They can be good. But sometimes they can't be good. This might also come from, like, a progressive, quote-unquote, versus a socialist thing. But even then, there are some, like, white male socialists that are a little bit, you know, cringe as well. But I'm just saying, like, there's a little bit of a vibe there. This one is, like, the less, like, well thought out part. But it's just, like, you just get a little sus vibes from me. And I think the last category in this one, which is not immediately cancelable, but still side-eyed, is religious anti-Zionists. Now, this is more specifically tied to Christian anti-Zionists. While there can be problematic tendencies within Muslim anti-Zionists, who, you know, again, only do it for a religious reason, which is why this category is labeled broadly religious anti-Zionists. But obviously, Muslim anti-Zionists were probably the earliest opponents to Israel, and Palestinian Muslims are probably the biggest victims of Israel. So clearly there's a little bit more nuance to them, and there's also obviously Palestinian Christians. Like, I mean, this obviously is not really targeted towards like Palestinian people necessarily in general. This is more like broadly Western focused, but I'm seeing that there's a lot of people who are using specifically their religiosity and specifically Christianity as a crux to oppose Israel, when that seems like it's inherently contradictory, considering the end times in the Bible is, like Israel is necessary for that to happen. But again, like, I mean, it's not even necessarily, I mean, there could be elements of that where, again, it could be reasonable and pointed out in the right way. If your religiosity, especially because, again, there's a little bit of difference between, like, looking at religion as like an actual, like, legitimate factual thing, and then there's using it as a philosophy book that ties into your broader, like, morality. Using like things like, if it was something just like, quote, Jesus once said, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Like, like a philosophical sense of like, these people are being mistreated and Jesus and the Lord would obviously not like that. Then it'd be one thing, having like a bit of a morality in that sense. Like, that's one thing. But when you actually look at these like religious anti-Zionists, it's almost never that. I mean, I guess the Pope would probably be the closest guy who does it for that reason, but a lot of religious anti-Zionists don't do it for that reason. They're quoting different parts of the Bible to explain why they don't like Zionism. Specifically, for, again, Christians, most of the time it's usually citing Christian anti-Semitism in regards to things like Judas or the deicide accusation. Or just like, the broad thesis of my imaginary friend is better than yours, even though Jews, Muslims, and Christians all pray to the same God. It's an extremely flimsy excuse that can easily shift depending on how this person claims their God is acting on their day. Because again, like, people can use God to claim anything. People use God to claim that Israel is doing good. Some people use God to claim that Israel is doing bad. It's clearly a flimsy excuse. And also, again, I just don't really want religious people to be that relevant in regards to like real world political discussions, but I mean, I guess I can't really stop them on that regard. I mean, I'm extremely anti-theist, so that's why I'm anti-Israel. I mean, it's not why, it's a reason why. But yeah, with that out of the way, there's actually those are the ones where it's like not immediately cancelable, but I got my eye on you. I got my eye on you. But there is another category of people, these are the Zionists that we should either actively avoid or actively denounce, as I believe they're there to either openly hurt the cause or might as well be. And we'll start off this category with this group, right-wing anti-Zionists. And for the sake of this, I am not referring to, again, the most explicit example of this group. Nazis are the very obvious ones, but this is for the more softer fascists in United States politics. Right-wing anti-Zionists are not anti-Zionists for any actual legitimate reasons. They don't oppose colonialism or imperialism, and they do not oppose religious ethno-nationalism. They obviously don't oppose reactionary politics in general, so they removed all the good reasons to be anti-Israel. So why are they anti-Israel? Well, the reasons are very simple. They come from a few reasons, most likely all of them. They oppose Israel's specific ethno-nationalism, like religious ethno-nationalism. They specifically hate Israel's specific religious ethno-nationalism. If that Star of David was replaced with a cross, they wouldn't care. And you can tell this because usually they are open Christian white nationalists and only get bothered by this when Israel gets more openly anti-Christianity. Remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene was AIPAC-backed and called Rashida Tlaib a terrorist for protesting our support for Israel. When the Al-Aqsa Mosque was attacked in 2019, these guys didn't say a single word. But when footage came from an IDF soldier tearing down Jesus from the cross, suddenly all these people had a problem. And again, the reason's simple. They're fine with it as long as their in-group is doing it, and their out-groups get hurt. And again, while I tried my best to avoid Nazis, I can't necessarily negate this fact. Richard Spencer literally said that he wanted to copy Israel for America, but he just didn't like the fact that it was Jewish people. Nick Fuentes has also openly stated that he is perfectly fine with everything Israel does. He just doesn't like the fact that they do it with the Star of David. 2, another problem is a perceived lack of benefit on our end. They don't understand the fact that we do benefit from certain aspects of this deal. If there wasn't a mutual benefit to this deal, we wouldn't do it. Like, you do know this, right? Like, American foreign policy, we don't do shit just for the fun of it. We do it because we benefit from what we do. Like, we didn't just decide, let's get rid of Nicolas Maduro for the lulz. We did it because we wanted their oil. We benefited from this exchange. And the United States benefits greatly from what Israel does. Israel is, like, I mean, and that's another, it's like a slight thing, and we'll get to a little bit about it in a bit, but it's basically like the thing where it's like, Israel is perceived as the attack, like, Israel is perceived by these people to be the one in charge, like, subverting America, but no, we and Israel are, like, we are the same. Like, there is no, like, situation where it's like, Israel is doing something that we don't like, and the end, like, American benefits, the American interests are funneled through Israel. Israel is our little bitch. They do what we tell them to. When a U.S. congressman, when a U.S. senator tried to get, like pass a law that said America can't fund a right-wing paramilitary group in Africa, America said, beep, boop, beep, Israel, can you do it? Okie dokie, sir. Like, we are their boss. They did the same with Ukraine, where they were claiming that Ukraine was, like, somehow controlling the United States. It's like, no. We control Ukraine. That was the thing. Ukraine was basically, like, not necessarily, like, I mean, Ukraine is obviously a sovereign nation that does their own thing, but also, like, there's a geopolitical benefit for the United States to get involved in Ukrainian politics because it hurts our enemies in the region, Russia, and that's the same with Israel. Israel hurts our enemies in the region, Iran, and, I guess Turkey. Turkey would count? I think Turkey counts. You get this by remembering the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene was opposed to the latest Iran hostilities, but she was also one of the loudest members of Congress to support the United States flat out invading Mexico. Because in the latter, the United States would benefit a lot more visually than with Israel's more abstract aid of furthering our geopolitical interests. It also lets you know that had the Iranian attacks lowered the prices of US oil, these people would have literally been cheering all day. Their analysis of hyper-focusing on Israel's issues rather than the broader problems of the issues of colonialism, imperialism, and religious and ethnic supremacy allows for them to specifically remove their own culpability in this movement. The Christians who supported Israel for their own religious supremacist benefit, nope, not real Christians. The American Firsters who supported Israel for Western supremacy, not real American Firsters. We saw that with Joe Kent's resignation, where he effectively made it like Trump was like a hapless pawn to Israel's actions, and that he was manipulated to do what he did. You can get similar vibes from that whole, like, you know, what blackmail does Israel have on him talk. Like, I mean, literally, even if Israel is secretly holding files on Trump and are willing to drop the files the second that, like, he does the wrong thing in regards to Israel, that makes it seem like, again, Trump has no agency. Like, he's just like, controlled by Israel, which, again, you know, ties in some, like, you know, anti-Semitic canards, but it's just like, that's not the truth. Trump has agency. Trump is an adult. He makes decisions that led to him to the position that he is in today, with every sense of the word. Like, again, it's like the thing, it's like, they're like, oh, like, that's one of the big things. Like, they, like, basically claim that Trump, like, was goaded into Israel by Iran. No, not Israel by Iran. You know what I mean? He was goaded to attack Iran by Israel. It's like, no, Trump wanted to invade Iran on his own. He, and Israel helped him do his mission. It wasn't Israel's mission and Trump helped them. It was our mission that Israel helped us. And the problem is, this sentiment is seeping into left-wing communities. And we should, again, that's why I'm saying we should stop this. We should cut it off right here and now. That's not how it works. And this isn't even just like the American First types. I'm also skeptical of the libertarian types. Not as much, because libertarians are slightly a bit more palatable on foreign policy broadly, and the idea of aligning with libertarians is obviously incredibly common for us on many issues, but their isolationist foreign policy also leads to similar outcomes. Ron Paul is seen by many as the poster child for right-wing non-interventionism. And yet, Ron Paul himself personally financed a failed coup in Dominica known as Operation Red Dog. Again, these guys aren't allies. The next category is conspiracy theorists. Israel is a common conspiracy talking point for many reasons, some of which are obviously related to real things, and some of them are related to obviously massive anti-Semitic canards. And with the rise of anti-Zionism broadly, there are some people who now re-examine, quote-unquote, these theories and try to give them some validity and make Israel look worse than it already does. And I'm just here to say this right here now. No, don't do that. No, this is not helpful to the cause at all. By blaming Israel for things that are very clearly not their fault, you only dilute any and all legitimate criticisms that Israel has already committed. Israel has literally already done a multi-year-long genocide. We don't need to add more things to the Israel evilness chart that can easily be debunked. And that's the thing. I actually plan on making a video in October for EPU files where I want to go over that specific thing. There are many conspiracy theories. Literally, one of the biggest conspiracy theories, in my opinion, the only conspiracy theory I believe, for the most part, is that the government makes conspiracy theories specifically to trick people so that they can dilute any actual legitimate criticism for a lot of things. And Israel is a primary factor. By blaming Israel on all these super unrelated, completely niche topics that literally do not have anything to do with what Israel is actually doing, you're trying to make it what they're trying to do, what people who are quote unquote legitimately on this side of the issue are trying to do is trying to make Israel look worse to make more people go against Israel. But it's you don't need to do that. Israel is literally currently doing a long-standing genocide. You don't need to add more things. There are 4 specific conspiracy theories that I do want to try and shut down, because these are the 4 that I really, really have been seeing a lot recently with Israel. I can't really verify it for a lot. I'm not going to go over the most obvious ones, obviously, because some of them are super obviously just rooted in anti-Semitism or whatever. But these are the ones that I've seen a lot more make a comeback that I'm just I just think we should probably shut it down right here, right now, so that we just got to be clear. Okay, first one. This is the least political of them all. But I just want to make this one clear because this is the one that, unfortunately, I'm just seeing a lot of people really, and this is just not helpful for a lot of reasons. And it's a conspiracy theory revolving Israel and Michael Jackson. Now, if you know anything about Michael Jackson, you know there's a very infamous thing that Michael Jackson did. He's known for a long-standing musical career, but he also is well known for one thing that kind of brought a big end to his musical career for a little bit. And there's a lot of people who have tried to rehabilitate Michael Jackson by claiming that these things did not happen, and that these were made up by either Mossad, Epstein, or other friends in the media that they had. And it usually relates to 2 things that happened. One is that Michael Jackson made a song called They Don't Really Care About Us, and it had a very controversial lyric that was, I don't even know if I don't think I can say it. I can say it, but I don't want to. The lyrics were perceived to be anti-Semitic, but the point that Michael Jackson was apparently making with the lyrics was that it was basically a thing where it's his whole thing was he was trying to break down tons of barriers in regards to race, religion, that kind of stuff. But he also made another song. He also made another song called The Earth Song, where there's a lyric where he's literally just what about the Holy Land torn apart by greed, that kind of stuff. And it's that's obviously a somewhat pro-Palestinian message. And Michael Jackson, especially late, it was discovered later that Michael Jackson literally wrote a song that was literally going to be a pro-Palestine song, but he didn't make it. He didn't release the song. And the allegations that people are trying to make is that the molestation charges that Michael Jackson got were by some people who were not fans of his views in this issue. And no, you're wrong. Michael Jackson is a child molester. If you can't accept that fact, you are literally giving creeps in Hollywood more powerful by denying these claims. That's a fact. Because that's the thing that all these people say, that these are malicious arguments against them. People who can be on your side can do bad things. You know this, right? I'm reminded of a Boondocks quote where Huey Freeman literally says yes, a lot of black men are cops conspire to give black men felonious crimes, but this isn't one of them. And if you can't accept this fact, you're part of the fucking problem in regards to like Hollywood and like the safety of children in Hollywood. But there's also a problem with you because you're just not accepting that the king of pop can, like Michael Jackson is basically like a religious cult, essentially at this point. I saw like a YMS where he like basically explains like the fact like how in the fucking like new Michael Jackson movie, they just don't touch these accusations at all because the Michael Jackson estate doesn't want these accusations to be out. And there's like this massive movement. It's basically like just like they treat Michael Jackson like a fucking like the new messiah. And it's just like, stop it. This is bad for your mental health. Second one, and I know a lot of us like to do the funny memeing, but I just gotta be real. I'm pretty sure Israel did not kill Charlie Kirk. Like, I'm sorry guys, I just gotta be real. I know the weird Israel posting they did about it is like weird and funny and haha, and like, do we seriously believe they did that, or are we just memeing? I'm just saying. I'm not sure. I'm just saying. We should, memeing about it is one thing, but like making actual serious entire commentaries about it, nah. Next one is Israel did not do 9/11. Again, gotta be real, guys. Israel did not do 9/11. 9/11 conspiracy theories are just not true at all. But yeah, Israel did not do 9/11. And the biggest one that I want to talk about is this one. And this is one I just want to say, clearly right here, right now. Israel did not kill John F. Kennedy. Like, for real. Like, much like 9/11 conspiracy theories, JFK conspiracy theories are almost all complete and utter nonsense. Every single one. Every single JFK conspiracy theory is complete and utter nonsense. They're all based on an idealized version of Kennedy that the Camelot political cult created. But that's a fact. His whole career, like his whole love and admiration that a lot of people have, is based on a fucking basically a sanitized serial version of his life. Like, Joe Kennedy, his dad, literally specifically bred the Kennedy children to be Americans' political dynasty. That's what he bred. Like, John F. Kennedy, his older brother Joe, what's his older brother named Joe? I think his older brother named Joe. Bobby, and all the Kennedy family, they were bred specifically to be America's political family. And his biggest tool for doing that was basically making sure that they looked completely, utterly sanitized and perfect. But their lives were absolutely terrible. Like JFK was a womanizer. He was involved with the mafia. He was he fucked Marilyn Monroe multiple times. They fucking lobotomized his older sister. They fucking hid Kennedy's multiple health failures because the family was so fucking inbred. And all of the sanitized versions of Kennedy that you all have in your mind that leads to these conspiracy theories just aren't true. Like, all of the conspiracy theories are all based on lies about JFK. No, JFK was not harsh on the Federal Reserve that led to him getting killed. That didn't happen. He was not harsh on the Federal Reserve. He was lenient to the Federal Reserve. He gave the Federal Reserve more power under his administration. What are you talking about? No, he was not going to pull us out of Cuba. He was not going to pull us out of Vietnam. He was a Cold War hawk. What are you talking about? He started the Cuban Missile Crisis. I literally have no clue why you would think that he was this super pro-peace guy. And on this topic specifically, JFK was not a critic of Israel. Not at all. Not at all. No. Absolute, utter bullshit. That is the biggest thing that is just so verifiably untrue. Kennedy was literally the most ideologically Zionist president the U.S. has ever had. Probably even, I don't know if him and Trump basically tie on that regard. I don't know if they're explicitly pro-Israel. I don't know if they're tied or one's a little bit more than the other. I don't know if Trump is more than Kennedy or Kennedy's more than Trump, but I can see it going either way because literally JFK was literally one of the most this is the fact. FDR, Harry Truman, and Dwight Eisenhower, they were not ideologically pro-Zionist. They were pro-Zionist purely on a philosophical, not necessarily in philosophical. They were pro-Israel in the context of mutual benefits, the purely strategical sense. Israel was it was a test of superpower. America became the new superpower, so America needed to get a foothold in the Middle East. So that was Truman's perspective. They needed a foothold in the Middle East. Israel was their only route to do that, and it would also give him the benefit of getting the Jewish vote in America, which he was theoretically losing to Wallace and other people because they were more ideologically Zionist. Eisenhower was also purely thinking about it in a military strategical sense. And when they did things that they were not a fan of, he was like, I'm not even going to associate with you guys right now. We're done. But Kennedy was literally like a ideological, like moral, like fully in his heart of hearts Zionist. Like fully, like in the deepest recesses of his mind and in his heart, he was a Zionist. Like, I don't know there are a lot of reasons why, I would assume. Like, I mean, it could have been like post-World War, like, you know, like I guess literally his like generation would be like the most like anti like fucking like there are a lot of reasons why he's probably, I mean, I don't know if it was like a broadly religious reason. I don't know if it was like broadly like a like you know, a sorry for World War II. But again, Kennedy was probably the most ideologically pro-Zionist president in the U.S. history. The idea that Israel would kill him, of all of the people in the fucking planet, that is the dumbest thing. Like, it's like, they don't kill Nasser. They don't kill, like, fucking, like, the Palestinian leader at the time. Was it Arafat? I think it was Arafat. They don't attack them. They don't assassinate them, but they assassinate fucking Kennedy, the most pro-Israel world leader at the time, who was literally aiding and abetting Israel on basically everything. But wait, didn't Kennedy, like, oppose Israel getting nuclear weapons? So? I literally, it's just like, so? He was pro them on literally everything else. Like, he was literally the most, again, ideologically pro-Israel president that we've basically ever seen, with probably the exception of Trump. I don't know if it was either Trump or him. And it's also why fucking, like, QAnoners and all those people are, like, also, again, like, this also ties in, like, the whole conspiracy theories made to, like, basically, make you into less of a threat. Like, QAnon loves Trump and they love Kennedy, but they also claim that they're, like, oppositional to Israel, whatever. And yet, their figureheads are literally some of the most pro-Zionist presidents in the fucking history of the United States. You're not a threat. Anyways, let's move on to the next topic. Like, I mean, the next group of people. Apparently, there's a subsection of the online left that wants to be okay to use neo-Nazi terminology. Like, I mean, literally, it's weird. It's weird. We have a lot of people who are literally actually trying to make actual neo-Nazi terminology okay in the left-wing sphere? I mean, the biggest one that I've seen a lot of people have been doing is ZOG. If you know what the term ZOG means, you know that it means Zionist occupied government. It's one of the most well-known neo-Nazi dog whistle terms, and apparently there are people who are desperately trying to use it wokely, like, and trying to make the claim, no, you don't understand. It has nothing to do with Jews. It has nothing to do with Jews. See, it doesn't say Jew. It says Zionist. It's like, bro. Again, it is literally the most well-known neo-Nazi dog whistle, literally the most well-known neo-Nazi dog whistle that was built by the modern-day far right. If you have been politically active online since 2016, there is no way you do not know what ZOG means. There's no way you don't know where ZOG comes from. There is no way, absolutely no way, not at all. And I don't believe any of the people online who are politically active who say that they don't know what it means. Because, again, these are people who are allegedly super pro-actively online. There's not a single way you don't know what this term means. So, again, no neo-Nazi terms. Apparently, there's people who want to use the term goy slave, which is a term from the Epstein-backed Chan boards. One term that I learned was the term synagogue of Satan, which is a Bible quote, apparently. And it came from the quick disappointment that came from Brian McGinnis, where that was a very tragic thing to learn, where it was like, oh, cool, there's this cool, like I mean, the Green Party's running a candidate for Senate. That's interesting. Oh, wait, that guy actually, like, gets involved in, like, the Iran war protests and got his arm broken by a fucking U.S. senator for protesting the war in Iran. Oh, that's interesting. But I should have known very quickly that guy was going to be a snake, because first thing, I did a couple of things when I learned about this guy. One, I looked at his private Twitter account at the time, where I learned that he was following like multiple like right-wing accounts. I was like, uh-oh, bad. And then also, I saw that he, like, I mean, I should have known, because, like, if you watch that fucking statement, remember, go back to that video where he gets his arm broken. He talks about no one should die for Israel. Again, rewind. He's he's claiming that it was Israel who goaded America into war with Iran. the culpability of Donald Trump somehow got magically removed. Donald Trump's massive attacks against Iran for basically the entirety of his last term and stuff, all that got washed away. And specifically, I learned the term Synagogue of Satan, where he was invited on a neo-Nazi stream, a stream of a neo-Nazi, and desperately tried to, at first it looked nice because it was like he was combating the neo-Nazi. But then he started agreeing with the neo-Nazi. Basically, the neo-Nazi, Kenneth O'Keefe, said he literally made the claim that anti-Zionist Jews are actually secretly pro-Israel agents that are sending information back to Mossad. And then Brian McGinnis said that he agreed with that statement. And it's like, aw, rats. I thought it was going to be cool. And then the term that he kept using all the time was Synagogue of Satan, which is, again, a misquote from the Bible, where it's like, they basically, literally, it's the terminology is meant that it's supposed to be like fake places of worship that are basically worshiping Satan. And the fact that these guys keep using the term synagogue in the reference to this term, clearly they're trying to imply something about synagogue specifically. And Brian McGinnis got so fucking owned that the Green Party of North Carolina and him broke paths. A quote that I've seen a lot whenever Israel is usually brought up is something along the lines of, if you want to know who controls you, find out who you're not allowed to criticize. A quote from a neo-Nazi pedophile. And again, there's a lot of other tinges of that kind of stuff. And I know it's like Israel controls. And I know some people, it's a little bit hard to do that. Because again, it's just to understand when you're saying this, it's like the United States and Israel's relations are quote unquote, they are connected. Not that they're separate things where it's one benefits one and not the other. They mutually benefit. That's why this is a thing. And the next category is people who hang out with feds. Now, feds are used to infiltrate and destroy leftist movements from within, and giving them the time of day makes me suspect of your intentions. There are a lot of people, you ever heard of COINTELPRO? We all know COINTELPRO. I should probably make a video, because I made a podcast a while ago where it's not everybody you hate are feds, but now I need to make a video where it's okay, maybe they are feds, because I'm just saying, I'm seeing a lot of feds. There are some people that are just obviously well-known feds. And my point is, if you're associating with these guys, then I just immediately distrust you. If you are actually genuinely aligning with these feds, then it's again, I just don't trust you. And one of the other things is there's a smaller thing that is also slightly interesting. I don't really like left-wing accounts that spring up out of nowhere and then get massively amount of views. I've always been suspect to them, and I'll use this category to explain one of my perspectives. Okay, I wanted to avoid kind of name dropping creators, but I guess I'll name drop a creator here. Guy Christensen. Now, you may have heard of Guy Christensen. He's a pretty prominent online creator, mostly TikToker, and he talks about Israel, Zionism, that kind of stuff. And again, when I saw him pop up, I kind of got suspicious. I wasn't a TikTok fan, so I guess I didn't really need to follow him in that regard. I saw a couple of his tweets in my feed every once in a while. Sometimes I liked them, sometimes I didn't. But I never followed him. And the reason why is because, again, very similar to the sentiment. Again, a sentiment I said before. New creator, pops up randomly, massively popular. I don't trust him. Again, I know that there are people just genuinely, they just genuinely blow up and become famous. But again, I just generally do not trust new faces that pop out of nowhere and then become instantly popular. And again, that's probably a bit too harsh, but it did warn me about people like Richard Medhurst and Jackson Hinkle. So I'm saying this has a little bit more merit than people think. And some of his takes, did make me raise an eyebrow. But again, I didn't necessarily want to think that he was a Fed immediately. But, I wasn't going to suspect that he was a Fed yet. But I knew, but he did make some statements. I'm just this doesn't seem right. I don't think a person who is normally on the left would make these statements. But even then, I chalked up some of his more, I guess, cringe, not even necessarily cringe views, but his more, I guess, excitable views. Such as, the thing that made me raise an eyebrow was when he made a video where he explicitly said that the United States should join the war with Iran on the side of Iran. And it's I'm not sure that a person, again, that wasn't, it was a thing that raised my eyebrow. It wasn't a thing that's like, I guess that's something that just a guy of his political inklings could legitimately say and make sense, I guess. But the thing that made me really question his intentions was when he made a video defending Elias Rodriguez, the guy from the PSL who killed 2 Israeli embassy workers. An action that was so bad that the PSL, the radical ultra-left party in America, had to denounce his actions. And they're like fucking like, they're the ultra-left guys. So if they are the ultra-left, if the American ultra-left, who is super anti-Israel, and if those guys are denouncing the action, but you are explicitly praising this action, I'm just saying, this seems a little interesting. Again, maybe he's just some crazy guy. I don't know. Maybe he's just some crazy guy. He's like 19 or 20 years old. There's a potential that this guy is just a little bit of a... And then I see that Guy Christensen is hanging out and platforming Jose Vega, a member of the LaRouche movement, which, for the uninitiated, which I know a lot of you are, especially a certain other baby leftist, it's all the baby leftists who don't know anything, who haven't done any research on anything, that you guys just platform whoever the fuck you guys want. And it's just like, the LaRouche movement are a group of feds. They're literally feds. Like, I mean, the second I saw him with like he's like, let's do this, New York, and he's like standing next to Jose Vega, I was like, oh, so you're a fed? Oh, yeah, like unequivocally. It's like, and before you guys say anything, it's like, yeah, fucking like in his district, they're all feds, all of them. Like it was either vote for fucking like Zionist sheepdog or a fucking like guy who was a Zionist until 2 seconds ago, or a fucking like a literal federal agent. Wow. And last but certainly not least, feds. Like just flat out, if they're a fed, avoid them. Now, it might be hard to tell who's a fed and who's not a fed, but there are feds. I mean, like certain people are just very obviously feds. I'm sorry if it's like not as obvious to some of you, but a lot of them are just obvious feds. You just got to do some research. And I'll be listing the 2 main groups who are feds, because there are 2 main groups that are feds on the online sphere that have been desperately trying to make themselves known on the online left, because a lot of people on the online left are just people who just don't know anything. And the first group is very obvious. The LaRouchites, as I mentioned before. They're a group that was literally paid by the CIA to infiltrate and destroy left-wing movements. Look up Operation Mop-Up, where they literally did just that. And I don't mean in a like literal, I don't even mean like in a metaphorical sense. I mean like literally the LaRouche movement was literally paid by the federal government to literally take bats and like chains to left-wing groups like the Communist Party and like the Socialist Workers Party and beat the shit out of their fucking like people. If you immediately platform any member of the LaRouche organization or the LaRouche movement, I'm immediately going to assume that you are a fed, and I'm going to not trust you, and I'm going to assume that you are being paid off by the federal government to make the Zionist movement look worse, because that is what the LaRouche movement is. The LaRouche movement is a crazy, batshit insane cult who literally does not believe in climate change, who believes that, like, Obama was secretly a Nazi, who believes that the British are secretly controlling the world. They wanted to put gay people in concentration camps during the 90s, and it's just like, again, they're actual feds, and if you join with them and you ally with them, I don't trust you. And last but certainly not least, the American Communist Party, Jackson, Hinkle, and Hawes are like 100% feds. I mean, I wasn't entirely sure at first because, again, I wanted to like be fair and go like, are they just stupid people? But nah, they're feds. One, they pal around with the LaRouchites. Fed, you're fed. Their movement literally started as MAGA communism, trying to suckle themselves to Trump's teat. Feds. Like, I mean, I literally stated back in my conspiracy theories that I believe episode where I literally said, like, I literally believe that the MAGA communist movement was literally created because they were afraid that one of these, like, radical communists was going to do something crazy to Donald Trump, and they just wanted to make sure that these people would be groomed into fascism. Jackson Hinkle has literally expressed support for Benjamin Netanyahu for his working relationship with Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. His supporters and him will try to lie that he was actually claiming something different. Like literally, they like there was like a little like fucking like thing where like someone said like, you said that you support Benjamin Netanyahu. He's like, oh, actually, when I said I supported Netanyahu, what I actually meant was that I was supporting him because he would help the anti-Western belief system or whatever. And it's like, no, that's not what you said. You said that you liked Benjamin Netanyahu because he had a working relationship with Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. That's what you said. You were saying that because Benjamin Netanyahu had a relationship with your second campus leaders that you love so much, that is why he's good. Like, I got into a debate with some fucking person on Twitter before I decided to lock my Twitter page and just stop engaging with these fucking losers. It's just like, dude, he literally posted the full, like he said, like, you're just taking it out of context. And he posted the context. It's like, literally, that's what the clip says. The clip literally says, the only thing that it was added was the clip was shortened because it only mentions Putin, but it's like, oh, the added context that he also was friends with Xi. It's like, wow, you sure did help your context. And Jackson Hinkle also was surfing buddies with former intelligence officer Tulsi Gabbard. And another one is Hinkle and the other members of his organization keep coincidentally showing up at places right before the U.S. bombs them, and then mysteriously they leave before the United States intervene again. I need to find. I've been desperately looking for the fucking like podcast where I said this because I literally like looked it up at the moment, but there was like a literal moment. I forget if it was Yemen or if it was Iran or if it was Lebanon, but literally Jackson Hinkle went to a place I'm pretty sure it was Yemen. He went to a place in Yemen and he gave a speech there. Then he left that place, he left that place to go to a neighboring town, and then right after he left, that place was bombed by the United States. And then he immediately went back to the town and said, wow, they bombed this town. Man, it sure was a blah, blah, blah coincidence. It sure was a good coincidence. I didn't get hit or whatever. It's like, and then also, literally before the fucking like United States gets heavily involved in Venezuela, one of his party members, Christopher Halil, he was in Venezuela at the time period. Again, they keep finding themselves in places mysteriously right before they get attacked by the United States. I just saying, it's very weird. These guys are literally like one of the most obviously Fed-coded people on the fucking like online quote-unquote left, and it's just like the fact that people just don't believe it, it's just insane. But yeah, I mean, I literally believe that if you want to give these people the time of day, I think you would be distrustworthy. And either you or yourself aren't actively trying to hurt the cause, or at like best case scenario, I just think you're stupid and you shouldn't be taken seriously about this issue. That's the best case scenario. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click that bell to notify when a future video comes out. And if you want more content from me, consider supporting me on Patreon.